Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Clockedin with me, your host, Jordan Edwards. I'm thrilled to have you tune in as we dive into the dynamic world of productivity, success, and stories of incredible individuals who've mastered the art of getting things done. Whether you're commuting, hitting the gym, or just relaxing at home, this podcast is the go-to source for inspiration and actionable tips to level up your productivity game. I'm on a mission to unravel the secrets of those who seem to effortlessly manage their time and achieve their goals. So if you're ready to clock in and unlock your full potential, you're in the right place. We've got a lineup of amazing guests, industry experts, and thought leaders who will share their insights and strategies to help us crush your to-do list and make the most out of every moment. Get ready to get inspired, motivated, and equipped with the tools you need to supercharge your productivity. This is Clockedin with Jordan Edwards. Let's dive in. Hey, what's going on, guys? We got a special guest here. We have Jim Dowd. He's appeared in over 800 NHL games and most notably won the Stanley Cup Finals with the New Jersey Devils in 1995 in his 17-season career. Also, he scored the game-winning goal of Game 2 versus the Detroit Red Wings in the 1995 Finals. Jim, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Jordan, and thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. I mean, you had an incredible success so early in your career. That must have been, how was that? How'd you feel in that moment?
You know what? I mean, born and raised in Brick, New Jersey, being the first and only New Jersey native to do what I did. You know, I just grew up in Brick, one of 7 kids, playing hockey and baseball, and be drafted by the Devils out of high school in 1987 and winning a cup with them in 95. I mean, I had posters of these guys on my walls when I was in high school, playing with them. Not only playing with them, but winning a Stanley Cup with them. It was so surreal, so to speak, and no one's ever done it that way since. I mean, I never left Brick. I just played local Brick travel hockey in Brick High School and got a scholarship to Lake Superior. And I'm a firm believer, Jordan, one person could change your life forever. One human being. For me, that was Lake Superior State University, Frank Anzalone and, the assistant coach, Jeff Jackson at the time. They're the only ones that took a chance on me, and the rest is history, as they say.
I love that. I love that. So for you, how did that process go when you were in high school? Because I know most people are probably sitting there like I was, and I was like, wait, he got drafted and then he went to college and then how does that work? How did that whole process work? / is it the same today?
Yes. Well, so hockey's a little different. Excuse me. So, like, for example, in the baseball draft, if you get drafted out of high school in baseball, if you don't sign pro, you go to college, then you go back into the draft after your junior year. In hockey,
Okay.
or like in NFL and NBA, you get drafted out of college, unless you're a superstar right out of high school, you get drafted, But in hockey, it's different. So my senior year of high school was 1987. I had committed to Lake Superior, signed my national letter of intent in whatever it was, November. And then the 87 draft came. That was the end of my senior year. The Devils drafted me. So they have your rights all through college. So they can follow you and track you.
Oh, wow.
So they have your rights for those 4 years. After my junior year, actually, at Lake Superior, my freshman year, we won the national championship. And another thing that I'm very proud of, and I'm not good at talking about myself, but I'm the only New Jersey native to this day to ever win a state championship in high school in 1986, a national championship in college in 88, and a Stanley Cup. Very proud of that. You know what I mean? But we're going back to the process of how it works with hockey is they have your rights all through college. They actually tried to get me to sign after my junior year, sign pro. But I didn't even – it took me less than 10 seconds to decide to stay. I wanted to graduate. I loved college. Wanted to try to win another, national championship. And New Jersey was notorious for starting guys in the minor leagues anyway because they were very deep. I ended up going back for my senior year. Unbelievable story. We went 28 straight games without a loss. Can you imagine that?
Oh, wow.
And then we got upset. You know what I mean? We had no adversity during the year. So then we had a little adversity, in the quarterfinals. We got upset. But anyway, I went back, graduated, had a great year, ended up signing for more money anyway, and I still started in the minors, and I still played 17 years. So my whole point is there's no rush. Unless you're going right to the NHL, there's no rush. But that's how it works in hockey. They have your rights all through college.
That's incredible. And for you, what was the headspace like? Because I can only imagine a high schooler running around going, I'm drafted. Like the idea must have been
funny story.
It didn't go too much to your head. Like,
no, funny story. You'll love this. So I just, like I said, I grew up in Brick, one of 7 kids, 5 boys, 2 girls, and the second youngest, and when my college coach called me like right before the draft, they said, "Hey, Jim, you're probably going to get drafted." Back in the day, I'm 54. If you weren't from Minnesota, Massachusetts, Chicago, or Michigan, they didn't even look at you. That's what I'm saying. Lake Superior took a chance on me. And I was this kid out of New Jersey, and nobody was coming out of New Jersey at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when he told me that, I didn't tell anybody this, but I said it to myself. I said, you know what? If I do get drafted, the only team I didn't want to get drafted by was the New Jersey Devils, because I thought it would have been a charity pick, right? Because there was 12 rounds in the draft back then.
Okay.
And then the draft comes. I'll never forget. I get a call about 5:15 from Marshall Johnson, who was the player of their director of player personnel. And he calls me up and said, "Hey, Jim, it's Marshall Johnson, New Jersey Devils. We just drafted you in the 8th round. So you'll get to know me, Jordan. I'm a very positive guy. There's a silver lining in everything." So right off the bat, it clicked. Oh, it was the 8th round, not the 12th. So it wasn't a charity pick. And then I proceeded to go to a party that night, have some fun. But yeah, it's been just a wild ride. It was amazing. Another thing that was so surreal, not only getting drafted, but getting drafted by, your hometown.
The hometown, when people are like, because I can only imagine, because a lot of people are coming out of college and they're like, "I'm worried about my job," and you're like, "I'm set, baby. Let's go." Were you concerned about injury or anything while in college?
Never.
And how did you keep the headspace going there? Because I could imagine a lot of people get very egotistical. I'm going to the league, like, you know what I mean? How did you keep that in college, and then also build the leadership in your team to win championships? Because that is not an easy endeavor at all.
No, and that's one thing I've never worried about. I mean, that's something worry. I mean, what is worry? I mean, there's no sense worrying, right? Doesn't add a single second to your day, your life. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? You go around worrying about, I mean, why would you go outside of the house? You know what I mean? It's just, but that to answer your question, that never crossed my mind. I always just loved playing hockey. I loved playing baseball, all different sports, and loved being a part of a team. And, it just made me tick. You know what I mean? Just being around people and trying to accomplish a goal individually and as a group. But that never crossed my mind. I'll give you a funny story too, answering your question. So my senior year of high school, I signed my national letter of intent, get a full ride to Lake State. And I played baseball all through high school as well. So the hockey season's over, and it's my senior year. I'm going out for the baseball team. And there was people that said exactly what you said. "Jim, what are you doing? What are you playing baseball for?" I go, "What are you talking about? I played it my whole life. This is the last time I'm going to play organized baseball. Plus, I loved it." "Oh, what if you get hurt?" I'm like, "What?" I never thought like that.
Yeah. I mean, also the fact that at you're 18, you could bounce back. It's
I mean, there's no way to go through life.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I think it's so important because there's too many of us who are scared of everything, and you're like, "Nah, you just got to go out and do it."
Yep.
Absolutely. So how'd you build the team and camaraderie in college, though? How was that a thing for you? Like, obviously the program's set up, but there's still probably a chip on your shoulder where everyone's like, "You were the one getting drafted." Like, I can't imagine the whole team was getting drafted. Like, there's probably a select few kids. And how did you think about them focusing on like, "No, I'm all in on this team. I want to make this special and really make the most of this in college"?
Yeah, there was a few guys drafted, you know what I mean? And Lake Superior was just coming on the rise, you know what I mean? We're a tiny school. For those of you that don't know, you learn something new every day, right, Jordan?
Absolutely. I love it.
Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, which is the Upper Peninsula. The UP, it's called. It's right on the border of Canada and the U.S. There's Sioux, Canada, and Sioux, Michigan.
Oh, wow.
And then the bridge was literally connected to our campus. We're as far north as you get. I just was a kid that, again, the first New Jersey native to do what I did. I was so excited. I didn't really know much about college hockey. And they were just on the rise. My senior year of high school, they got upset in the playoffs. They were on the rise, but they got upset in the first round and never even made it to the tournament. And we came in, we had 12 freshmen come in, and 9 of us played regular, and we had no idea what had happened the year before. And the coach was like on a mission. You know what I mean? So he like whooped us into shape real quick. And, I'd run through a wall for that guy and the whole coaching staff. But it was just a total team concept. And we didn't really have any blue chip recruits. We were in the same league. It was called the CCHA, the Central Collegiate Hockey Association. We were in the same league as Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio,
Oh, wow.
Bowling Green, Miami of Ohio, Western Michigan, Ferris State, University of Illinois, Chicago, and Lake Superior. And nobody knew how good we'd be. We were all just these, no blue chip recruits, just good, solid players that turned out to be, as a group, unbelievable. And we took the hockey world by storm. And I just was one of those kids. I just loved playing sports and getting on a team and just go out and just work. That's all. Just work. And it's all about, what are you doing to help the team win? That's all that really matters when it comes down to it.
Yeah. And for the people listening, for the audience, because some of them might be trying to foster their own teams, whether it's in the workforce or whether it's on in a sporting environment. What do you think were some of those intangibles that allowed you guys to do that 1 + 1 = 3 equation where we have the synergies of each other, but we're not focused on our own goal, but we have the team goal ahead of our own?
You know what? The coaching staff had a lot to do with that, and the upperclassmen were huge. We only had two seniors, Craig Houston and Terry Hosick, who were more. They were role players, but they were our captains. One was the captain, the other one was the assistant, and they just led by example. They weren't the most talented kids on the team, but they just built the total team concept there. And again, we had great upperclassmen, and they kept everybody in line. We really didn't have many egos at all. And again, for the kids that were sophomores, juniors, and seniors, what they went through the year before, getting upset, you know what I mean? That was a huge, what's the word I'm looking for? Motivation for them, so to speak, and here we are, a bunch of young freshmen coming in, just, it's like, don't think, just go do, once you start thinking, you get yourself in trouble. So we were just young and dumb, so to speak.
Absolutely. And for after college, you end up going to the league, and what happens there? And what was the age too? Because I want people to understand about how you had success at such a young age and how that impacts you in that journey.
Yeah. So I was, again, drafted out of high school, went all 4 years of college, could have signed that to my junior, didn't, went back, signed pro. I was like, 22 years old, I think I was. And then,
Probably.
I got sent to the minors because the Devils were loaded at center. I signed a nice 4-year deal, 3 years with an option, got sent to the minors. I only got one game up my first year with leading scorer down there. In my second year, went back, got one game up, went back down, got leading scorer again. And in my third year, that's when I got up full time pretty much, but you just got to put the work in. I mean, it's if the world worked like pro sports does, someone's looking to take a job every day. How much more productive would everybody be?
Yes. Yes.
But it's just one of those things. You just grind it and just work. You know what I mean? Just work and stick with it and do your best to take it one day at a time and try to be in the moment as much as you can. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry too far in the future. Just enjoy right now and focus on the all the cliches you hear. Focus on the process. The end results take care of themselves. It's so true.
Yeah.
Anything in life, not just sports.
Yeah, it's the day in and day out. And what was that Stanley Cup run like for you? What was that experience? Because that was so early in the career.
Yeah, so my rookie year, official rookie year, was 94. We lost to the Rangers in the conference finals. That was our big rival, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we had a great run there, and we lost in the conference finals in game 7 in overtime, to go to the finals. So that was like, again, that was great motivation for us the next year. But that run was great. We had a great group of veterans. We had a young goalie, Marty Brodeur. We came in together, turned out to be one of the best goalies of all time. And again, same thing as in college. I was fortunate that I played for some great coaches and great teams. Very blessed to be on championship winning teams. And it's just all about the leadership at the top, the veterans. Yeah. You know what I mean? Then we get good middle-aged guys, and we had some really good young guys, but everybody kept everybody in check. And it's called accountability. If you look at any championship winning team, business, whatever it is, I mean, that's your team. Accountability is probably the number one thing to get you from where you are to where you want to be.
And a lot of the time that's missed because people set ambitious goals. Like we're recording this now in November. It will probably release in December, January. But in the new year, people set these ambitious goals for themselves. And then there's no accountability to the check-in. So that's why this year I actually set a goal for myself to do 300 workouts. And on my Instagram, you see me every single day. I'm like 384, 385, 390. Because it's just like, you got to keep it rolling. You got to keep that accountability and that momentum that really moves the needle. So when you ended up winning the Stanley Cup, what was that like? Because the reason I say that is because what people don't realize is there's so much time where people want to reach the end of the mountain and they have this ambition to get there. And you just got there so quickly inside of the NHL season.
And it seems so quickly, but keep in mind, I spent 2 full years in the minors, and my third year, I had a great camp, started there, was up and down a little bit, but that's when I fully got up. But you just got to put your time in. People
Yeah.
just, it's like an overnight success. We all know there's no such thing as an overnight success. People finally see you successful at the top of your game, but they missed, going to college for 4 years,
Yes.
not leaving after my junior year, going back for my senior year, then coming into camp, having great training camps and getting sent to the minors, first year, the second year, being the top guy down there and
You
still
do,
not cracking the lineup, so it's just, but then when you finally get there, it's just, again, it's so surreal. And you just got to just keep working and stay focused.
yeah, you do make a major point there that it sounds like, if I'm doing the math right, it would have been 8 years from when you were drafted that you finally
Yeah,
won the
1987,
championship.
right?
Yeah. Which is,
Yep.
but you look
8 years.
at it, you're like, I only
Right.
had really 2 years in the league, but I had the
Yep.
4 in college, the 2 under, the
Yep.
2. Yeah. People
Yep.
don't see the groundwork. They only see
Yep.
the success at the little
Yep.
pivot. And that's on
Exactly.
top of that. You had another 15 years in the league. Like,
Yep. Oh yeah, and I went through a shoulder surgery one of those years.
well,
I
so
missed
I want,
7 to 8 weeks on a shoulder surgery. So people, they don't see all that stuff that goes into it.
absolutely. So I wanted to dive into it because one of the major things that I found really impressive about you is the ability to find the proper perspective. Like on this podcast, we talk about perspective a lot. And like, you got traded to different teams, you faced injury, you got sent back to. How did you think about all of that? Like specifically the portion where you were for your first trade. How did you think about that? And then we'll dive into the rest of the story.
Yeah, well, they always say, that especially for the Americans, back in the day, I came out of college and there wasn't many Americans or college kids coming into the league.
Yes.
And then the kids that are Canadians playing in the junior leagues, they might have gotten traded. They always say your first trade's the toughest, and that was the toughest. I went from the New Jersey Devils to the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
And I was terrible in Vancouver. And you know what? People were, people that knew me and all, they're blaming it on the coach and this and that. No, I didn't blame it on anybody. I blamed it on myself.
Extreme
I wasn't in the right
accountability.
headspace, and I went there, and I played 38 games, just didn't play that well. I never got over that hump. I wasn't focused. I wasn't, and then I got sent. Then I got sent back, bounced around a little bit, got sent back to the minors, and that's when I got into the whole nutrition aspect that changed my life forever. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But then I'm a firm believer, forget hockey. You get your mind right, your body right through proper nutrition. Life in general just works a lot better. But my focus wasn't on the right things. You know what I mean? And I just had to reinvent myself, actually. And then just when I realized, when you get to the top, I went from the penthouse to the outhouse. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, when you get to the top of your game and that's taken away from you, you go one way or the other. And I said, I got to figure out how to do this. And it's all who you surround yourself with. Personally, I've been married for 27 years. My wife was with me through all that, so I thank her every day for getting me through some tough times.
Yeah. And you brought up a few major points. You reach the mecca in hockey, which if people were comparing that to life, it might be like whatever you want. Like you achieve all of your goals, you achieve your dreams, and then it's taken away from you. And now you got to restart that building process by getting sent back to the minors. And the fact that you were able to come through that, what do you think was some of the intangibles that helped you overcome that? You speak about the nutrition, you speak about the changing of mindset. What was it? Because I feel like at first most people would think like, oh, it's unfair. I would like because you're all in on your teams, and then for them to go, wait, we got to move on. You're like, no, 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 I don't want to move on. A lot of people deal with that, and it could be very challenging.
Yeah, like I said, it's just a matter of what do you want? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you truly decide what you want, come up with a game plan and take consistent, focused action. You know what I mean? One
Yes.
of my biggest things is, one of the biggest keys to success, if you think about it, is doing the right things repeatedly over an extended period of time. And again, just focus on the process, not the end results. And eventually good things start to happen. I just had to go back to the basics. So the bottom line is here's what happened. I had signed 2 nice contracts. I had won a Stanley Cup. I'm on top of the world, 27 years old, was married, to my wife, Lisa, who I've known since 8th grade. We didn't have kids yet, and we got sent back to the minors. And I got sent to Hamilton, Ontario. So we're sitting there looking at each other like, what just happened? We're 27 years old. It was on the last year of my NHL deal. So I was making NHL money, but that didn't even matter. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I was out of the league. So when you get sent back to the minors at 27 years old in Major League Baseball and NHL, you're not getting back. You're done. I had all these teams from Europe calling us. We could have went there and made great money. But I said to my wife, I said, listen, honey, let's give it one more year. We're only 27 years old. If we don't make it back to the NHL, we'll only be 28. We'll go to Europe, play as long as we can and save some money. She's like, no problem. So we're sitting there. It's a month and a half into that season. And Hamilton, Ontario is 45 minutes west of Toronto. We're looking at each other like, what just happened? We were down, depressed, whatever you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And then my wife was doing all this research. She wanted to try to get as healthy as can be, to start trying to have kids. I said, listen, I'll try anything, Lee. So we got introduced to this holistic doctor, James D'Adamo, Eat Right for Your Blood Type. And the good news was he had an office in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, but he also had one in Toronto. I said,
cool.
I'm in. I'll do anything. Somehow we're getting back to the NHL. So she called up, made an appointment. Lo and behold, right? 3-month wait. I'm like, what? We're like, all right, she just booked it. But she said, hey, if there's any cancellations, we'll come right away. You know how God works in mysterious ways, right? 3 days later, they called us up. There was an opening. We went right down, drove there. And I was hurt at the time, actually. Went there. We did the whole thing. Within 30 days, I went from 192 pounds down to 182. I lost 10 pounds. I was quicker, stronger, faster. I cut out all the extracurriculars. I got my mind. I got focused. I got healthy. I finished that year out with the Hamilton in the American Hockey League. That's the Edmonton Oilers farm team. So I finished that year out. I got my mind right. And then that summer I went home. I got up at 5:30 every morning and worked out from 6 to 7:30 with a trainer.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to anybody. And I went to training camp the next year, made the Oilers, and played the next 12 straight years without a day in the minors until I was 40 years old. And people were like, holy cow, so I went and reinvented myself, but I was just focused and on a mission. And if I didn't have the support of my wife, and my family, it would have never have happened,
Yes.
And that's, till I was 40 years old. And I almost squeaked another year out at 41.
Well,
but it was crazy. And then it got to the point where it didn't matter. Like, I just loved being on a team,
Yeah.
And then I was a guy that had success early on. And when you have success like that early on, everybody knows, you're a winner and they'll take you on your team. And if you don't have an ego, you can last a long time in pro sports if you don't have an ego.
Yeah. And I think the really impressive thing here is that ability to reinvent, and it's changing the environment, changing the inputs, but also, I don't know if the whole audience caught what you were saying there, is like, you stopped going out, partying, you stopped a lot of the negative inputs in your life that were very short term, and you traded them in for long term. You're like, I don't want to be out till midnight. I want to be up at 6. Like, I want to trade the.
Yeah, that was a game changer, though. That was truly a game changer of being consistent and getting up early in the morning, doing my workouts, getting that done, having the whole rest of the day, and then just staying focused and just, like I said, you just get focused.
What was it that you got from that doctor that changed the perspective?
So everything that was 27 years ago. Well, I'm 54. I'll be 55 this Christmas. But everything he told us 27 years ago, 100% right on the food system, supplements and all that, and it was specifically for your blood type. It was Eat Right for Your Blood Type. Dr. James D'Adamo, the guy's amazing. You know what I mean? And he has a book out, but the only way you get his book is you go see him. He died in his late 90s. He died a few years ago. But he has a son, Peter D'Adamo. He's a little more lenient, but the father's like, right away you go. He does the whole iridology, looks at everything, and he's amazing. And he gives you a list right off the bat of stuff that does nothing for you. Absolutely.
Oh, really?
Nothing. Oh, alcohol, soda, this, that, chocolate. Don't let anybody tell you that a glass of wine is good for your heart. No, not it's all, you know what I mean? Oh, there's the whole list, and
he made it super simple for you, because right now with the education, health, there's so many areas.
Yep. And then and the supplementation was the purest supplement you could put in your body. It was for, the 1%ers. It was very expensive, you know what I mean? But I didn't care what it cost. Like, I'm doing this.
Yeah, you want to go to the league, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so passionate about what we're going to talk about here in a little bit. The new nutrition company that I'm a part of. It's just like, I am a firm believer. The bottom line is what you watch, read, listen to, and what you put into your body is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, you bring up a major
successful life.
You bring up a major point there, and this is one of the reasons I actually started the podcast. Is what you said, you can only change the inputs, right? So it's what you can hear, like podcasts, what you read,
Watch,
books,
read, and
what you
listen to.
watch, YouTube. And the thing is nowadays that everybody is that. Think about it. Back in the day, that used to be your surrounding friend group. Now it is the globe. It has gone global, meaning that you could have people in your inner circle because it's the 5 people around you affect you the most. So that means if you listen to my podcast every single day, the people and my guests are going to affect the way you think.
Yep.
So the idea here is that if you could have more positive inputs in your life, that will be better for you.
Yep. 100%.
Meaning, and Jim actually brings up a point that I never even thought about, but the food intake, the water intake. And this is something I've been becoming more aware about because people don't realize that the foods you eat, they're like, okay, alcohol is bad. Okay. I understand that. Soda's bad. I understand that. I'm done with soda. But then you start diving in further and you're like, the water
Almost
composition is
everything.
not good.
Yeah,
The toothpaste isn't good. The this. And it's like, how do you even think about going about this? And how did you like, so what was that transition like? Obviously, the goal is something that you wanted more than anything. So you were willing to make sacrifices. And I love that. And that's what people need to find. They need to find goals that they're ready to leap and make a change for.
Yeah, like I said, when you have something that you love to do your whole life and you get to the pinnacle, you get to the top and it's taken away from you. You, like I said earlier, you go one way or the other, but you need to surround yourself with good people. And again, thank God my wife, we're on the same page with just about everything, you know, and that's another thing. You just said the 5 people you surround yourself with, you know, and it really truly is like, I mean, my wife and I, we're going this April will be 4 years, no TV.
Oh, wow.
Or nothing. You know what I mean? You know, we research and all that. We got, educated on the whole, nutritional, the health, that system 27 years ago. And everything that guy told us is 100% correct. You know what I mean? But it goes back to, what do you want out of life? And, the TV, I truly believe TV is one of the worst things. And it all goes back to what you watch, what you read, what you listen to before you go to bed at night. And the first thing when you wake up in the morning, you got to set your tone for the day, and then what are you putting in your body? Like pretty much you just hit the nail on the head.
And
I mean, most of the food is not good for you. I mean, what's killing us is our food.
Yeah. And the fact that you're 54 and still making these changes 4 years ago, when it's not like, hey, we don't need the money, we don't need this, we don't need that. We just want to live at a higher level. We just want to operate better. We just want to be more present. We want to have a deeper relationship because they actually talk about that. And how do you think that no TV has impacted your relationship? Because there's been a discussion about that where it's relationships on the lowest level are watching TV together or like consuming. But like then you can converse. There's like a few different levels to it. But I don't know.
That's a whole big, deep rabbit hole you want to go down. It's just the bottom line is it's just not for us. That's all. And I don't judge anybody. I used to watch it.
But I'm saying, how do you think it's impacted your relationship?
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yep, we're on the same page. With pretty much everything. And it's. I mean, we look back now like it's just a time waster. TV is probably the biggest time waster in people's lives. When you think about it, what's really good on TV?
Yeah.
Pretty much hardly anything.
Yeah.
Hardly anything, and again, I've never judged anybody before I got into this stuff. I will never judge anybody, it's just not for us. You know what I mean? And it's my wife and I have gotten even closer than we've ever been. And we just research. We just want to know the truth about things. That's all. And it started, 27 years ago when we got into the whole nutrition and all that.
Yeah. Well, the really funny one that kind of gets brought up is like a lot of people enjoy reality TV. And the thing is, someone brought up the point of like, I think it was Grant Cardone. He was talking about it where he was like, why would I let anyone watch reality TV? They're fighting about bad relationships. Why would I want a bad relationship? It's just, you just say this kind of stuff and you're like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. And it's all just a distraction. That's all it is.
100%. We don't have that many hours in the day. So what is it that you're working on now, Jim? And what is this thing that you're trying to work towards?
So what I do post NHL, I have I get a bunch of different things going on. So But the two main things I focus on, if you go to jimdowd.com, so I'm a performance mindset coach. So
Okay.
I'm a certified axiology practitioner. That's the study of values. And again, if you go to jimdowd.com, I'm working with 12 to 20-year-old athletes. I'm a performance mindset coach, helping athletes in their life and sport.
Yes.
It's not sport and life and sport, so and I use, I've been through it all. I have been through both my boys, you'll see a bio on my whole family up there, my boys and everything. So personally, like I said before, but for those of you who don't know, I've been married for 27 years. I have two boys. My oldest son's a senior at Penn State playing hockey.
Incredible.
Full ride. My youngest son is a freshman at ASU playing hockey, full ride. So I've been through the whole gamut with them, and nutrition's a huge part of my program with that, so and then I also have a nutrition company I've been a part of, founding member. We launched 9.5 years ago. We have the patents on the world's first ever truly customized vitamin platform, a whole product line of, the purest ingredients you could put in your body, GMO, so all that. We pride ourselves on having the best, being the best, for the best. Like, I'm not giving my family, my friends, my kids, anybody for that matter, second best quality ingredients. You know what I mean? That's, I know what it did for my life, and I know what it can do and is doing for other people's lives. And those are the two things that I focus on. My wife and I,
100%. I mean, you bring up a major point here. So you were in the league exponentially longer than most people are. And most people wouldn't be able to even step away. Most people are like, because what I found is when I interview athletes or different people, their identity is captured inside of the sport. You know what I mean? So it's like, how do you take that next step, and how do you prepare for that next step? And how do you think about that? Like, obviously it's a year in, year out kind of thing. Were you thinking about your next steps for a while, or did you take a break, or how do you do that transition?
Looking back on it, you know what I mean? Looking back on it, I wish, I don't have regrets about anything, but I wish, during my career, I wish I would have started something before I was done playing hockey, if you know what I'm saying. But, and going back to what you just said, it's not an easy transition for most athletes. You know what I mean? And it wasn't easy for me, but then I had to sort of reinvent myself. But like, people know me as Jim Dowd, the hockey player, which is fine. You know what I mean? That's what it's opened doors for me. It's given me a platform, to help me create myself outside of that. But I'm still, when I do my presentations, from obviously my nutrition business, everyone wants me to tell hockey stories, but I relate it back to, the nutrition when I was 27, and got sent back to the minors. That story in itself speaks for itself. Documentation beats conversation, right?
Absolutely.
Facts. And that's, so, and again, I wouldn't have traded the last 14, 15 years for anything. I coached my boys all the way up. I had offers to coach in, 4 or 5 different NHL organizations. I could have been coaching in the NHL, but I would have never seen my kids grow up. So, it's been an amazing journey, and, it's just one day at a time. You know what I mean? Just take it one day at a time.
Absolutely. And I think you bring up a very good point there, where it's, if people are in a career or if they're doing anything, like, this is what I like to share with the audience, is like, start building whatever it is you want in your dream life, because the reality is it's going to take a lot longer than you think, and it's going to be a lot more work. So you might as well get a head start and get started, because most people want to sit there and pretend my life is this forever. And that's kind of what happened with this podcast. It was me just wanting to meet interesting people and hear their stories. And then it became tell me about what's going on, learning about this, learning about all these different areas of life.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's just, and then the best part about it is once you have to come up with a game plan, and you come up with a strategy, and then you just got to focus on putting the work in little by little. You know what I mean? One of my favorite books is by Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect. That's a great book.
Yes.
It's so it's so simple. It's an easy read, and it's just, the compound effect, little by little. And it's amazing when you're focused and you get on your little runs there, because life is momentum, right? There's, just as I tell people, just as fast as you lose momentum, you can gain it right back, and vice versa. Just as fast as you gain momentum, you can lose it. But it's, and you just got to stick with it and surround yourself with positive, success-minded people, that lift you up, get away from tell my kids and kids that I work with, you want to be so positive, negative people don't want to be around you. You want to be so positive, negative
Yes.
people don't want to be around you. No time for that.
Yes.
It takes the same amount of energy to be positive as it does negative. Right? Why not be positive, right? You know?
100%. And I think the really interesting thing about you is that you were able to transition from the NHL, where you're giving it all for the team, to transition into the family dynamic where you're like, I want to coach my kids. I want to be very present. I want to like, to give the audience perspective here, we were literally me and Jim were talking last week, and Jim's like, yeah, I just drove 14 hours or he said he did it a little quicker, but he's like, I drove to Michigan to see my son play because I didn't know which game I was going to be able to get to, because he's got the two sons in the top 20 right now in the collegiate league. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to go see him here. And it's just like, it's so incredible to see a present dad in those moments, because most people, they have the dad title, but it's like, how do you embrace the dad title, and how do you rock the dad title? And like, how did you go about that with your kids? Because like, one of the pillars of Edwards Consulting is relationships, and it's family dynamic, and it's how do you think about that? Because I can only imagine how challenging it was for them to play hockey and then have you like have you be there.
No,
Like,
it's no, I love it. It's great. I mean, there's nothing better than, I mean, having kids and watching your kids succeed at something they love. There's ups and downs in that too. And like I said, my wife and I are very blessed. I mean, my kids are at two amazing schools, and doing what they love, getting a great education, and, and then to be able to coach them all the way up in something that I did and they, chose to do. Like we introduced them to every sport too, everything.
okay.
They played hockey, they played lacrosse, they played a little soccer, they played baseball. They love to surf. We live in Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey, right by the ocean.
Yes.
They surf all the time, and they're very close, which is pretty cool. Like they'll get up at before the crack of dawn if there's waves and go surfing. Still to this day,
It's awesome.
So, yeah, it's nothing more rewarding. It's an easy drive, 9 hours. Going to see your kid.
Absolutely. I just say that because I think there's a lot of people who struggle with that relationship, and because it looks like you're doing so well with that relationship, and then your wife of 27 years, it's just cool to see. So are there any winning principles that you have inside of relationships in regard to having that strong connection with them and making them work, whether it's the wife or your children or just the family dynamic as a whole?
No, the one thing that I learned, and I learned this from my wife, I mean, is listen, and I'm working at it, trying to get better and better, is just communication is probably the number one thing. Bottom line. You know what I mean? Simple as that. Communication is the number one thing, listen, it's being married for 27 years, you know what I mean? It takes work, you know what I mean? And then again, it's a crazy world out there, but the number one thing, if there's anything I could say to people out there that aren't married yet, or you're engaged, or you're getting married, or you are married just for a year or two, is, communication. Everybody makes mistakes. You know what I mean? We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. There's only one person that was perfect. We all know who that is, right? But other than that, learn to forgive. You know what I mean? Forgive yourself, forgive other people that have done you wrong. There's no need to go through life like that. But answer your question is the number one thing is probably communication, hands down.
Yeah.
Or any relationship, not just being married. You know what I mean?
100%.
And you and I are just getting to know each other over the last couple of weeks. Michael Benson, a great friend, introduced us. It's all about communication. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing, and you let me know if you think this is true or not, but I would say the fact that you guys are both, it seems like you're very aligned on your view of the world. Not in a good or bad way, but it's just like you guys both have a similar vision of like what you want for the family unit and like what you guys want to accomplish.
Yeah, 100%. And again, that goes back to you learn, you look back, and you don't ever want to really look back on things, but you look back to say, hey, what did we do right? What do we think we did wrong? How can we improve?
Yes, the feedback model. Yeah, because most people are just trying to go so fast that they don't even look back. They don't even see the differences. So let me know what's ID Life, what's the nutrition, what's the current company you're with, and how do you think about that? And what is it that they're doing that's a little bit different?
Yeah, so basically, my one of my best friends, is the founder and chairman. We've been in We launched May 1st, 2014. Again, we have the patents. We're the only ones in the world that do what we do. We have the patents on the world's first ever truly customized vitamin platinum, custom you, to me, to my wife. Think about it. No two human beings are alike. So why should you, Jordan Edwards, be taking the same thing as Jim Dowd? It's a free HIPAA compliant health assessment. This is our core product now. You take right online, computes out for you what you need. And the best part about what we do here is we give you this information. Once you create an account, you never have to buy anything from us. But then there's, a whole DNA profile to go along with that to get down to the granular level. And again, we have a whole product line: shakes, collagen, energy, hydrate, everything. The healthiest stuff, you can put in your body. It's a really confusing space out there. People just don't know. We break it down to each individual, which is that's what separates us from everybody else. Listen, we all know there's tons of great health companies out there, and then there's a ton where it doesn't make any sense. I mean, the ones that have artificial ingredients, this and that, we don't bash them, but we just explain what separates us. But I never understood that in the first place. You're a health and wellness company, and you have artificial ingredients in your products. That really
the toughest
part. I
don't
understand that, and I'll never understand that.
Absolutely. I mean, the toughest part is because there's so many quote unquote experts, and they're all saying different things, and it's like, who do we trust? How do we know? How do we think about this? Because it's very challenging. And the thing is, you want it to be a very simple process where it's, hey, this is what works for you.
Yes,
and
exactly.
This is what's recommended. Because I actually took the test and I found it very interesting where it's just like, hey, they recommend this, 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 and this. And
we explain why. And you see the deal. It's not Jim Dowd. It's not ID Life recommending that for Jordan Edwards. We are backed by over 12,000 third-party peer-reviewed clinical studies, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And there's other companies out there. Again, we don't bash them. They say they're doing what we're doing, but they don't have if they have an assessment, it's not HIPAA compliant, and it's backed by their in-house studies. It's like me and you starting a company and we have all these studies done in-house. Of course, we're going to say our stuff's the best,
Yes.
But again, that's the main thing that separates us. That's why we always lead with ID Nutrition. That's our flagship product.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is we're doing this the home-based business way. Why? Because think about it. You can't put customized vitamins on a store shelf. They can't just sit there.
Yeah.
So it really is amazing just building a team of positive, success-minded people that want to help people do life better.
How's that experience been for you transitioning from the NHL to getting back to those nutrition routes that you've always been super passionate about? How's that been for you?
Oh, it's amazing. And again, why I'm so passionate about this is because when I got into Dr. James D'Adamo was doing this up, that was for the 1%ers, people that make it 250,000 or more. What we have here with ID Life, we can literally tailor it down, the customized nutrition to anybody's budget. So this is for everyone. What I mean? The person that knows they need supplements, that have been taking supplements forever, and the people, because listen, just as many millions of people take supplements, millions don't. For the new person that's just getting into it, now realizes they need supplements, you can tailor it down to their budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like I said, we have something for everybody here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what are the different types of items that they cover? I know it's
we have a Lean 30 program. That's our weight loss program. We have a new fitness/longevity line we just rolled out. That's amazing for not only the 23-year-old gym rat, the bodybuilder, the elite athlete. It's great for my 92-year-old mother. It's great for the 54-year-old that doesn't work out, that just walks. We have, again, shakes. We have meal replacement shakes. We have collagen. We have hydrate. We have energy drinks, which is one of the biggest things right now. All these energy drinks out there, they all have artificial ingredients in them. All the ones you see out there that the kids are drinking, it's, none of them are any good for you, And again, we have a whole product. We literally have something for everybody. Who doesn't want to, last time I checked, who doesn't want to look, feel, sleep, and perform better? One of our best products is our sleep strips. You know what I mean? It's healthy for you, non-habit forming. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's really fascinating because you start looking at what is allowed to be served and what is being served. And you got to be careful. You got to be more aware of this stuff because and I don't usually dive into health and wellness. We talk about health a little bit on the podcast, but not dive into it that much. But it's obviously very big in mental health and physical health. And it's important to understand how the food you're eating is affecting the way you feel, or the supplements you're
100%.
taking affect the way you feel. Because most people are living suboptimally. And if there's a way to live a little bit more optimally on like a pretty minor investment, it's like, why not? It's
Yeah. Like I said, and it's just, again, we're basically turning a $3 trillion industry upside down worldwide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Like I said, and again, we're a movement that's just helping people do life better. That's all we are. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And so, Jim, where can people learn more about you? Where can they learn more
Yeah,
about
like I said, if you want, if they want any more info, they could email me at jimdowd@me.com. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? My performance mindset, coaching business is jimdowd.com. They could
Yeah.
actually go in there and, email me as well through that, but on the the nutrition side, just jimdowd@me.com.
Yeah.
Hit me up. I'm Jim Dowd, Jim Dowd Hockey on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook just as Jim Dowd. So
Yeah.
I love
I'll
that.
throw
It's I love it's all about the relationship. You know what I mean? I want to get to know you on a personal level. It's one person at a time, because you know the deal. One will lead you to three, will lead you to seven, and next thing but it's got to be, my personal belief. It's got to be personal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll put all this in the show notes. Jim, you have been incredible. I appreciate your time and just sharing with the audience your stories. I think it's awesome. I think there's a lot that can be learned from this.
No, thanks, Jordan. I appreciate you having me on, and hey, we'll do some more here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for reaching the end of the podcast. For that, we'll give you a complimentary coaching session in the link below with Edwards Consulting. Hope to see you there, and have a great day and keep clocking in.